Amy and Rory, they're gone away. There's an angel, contemplate my fate. But do they know the place is where they go till they're grey and old? So when they're lying in their beds, thoughts running through their heads, and they feel that love is dead, they're loving angels instead. And through it all, they offer each other protection, a lot of love and affection, whether they're right or wrong. Down the waterfall, wherever it may take them, they know that life will break them. When they come to call, they won't forsake them. They're loving angels instead. 'Cause there must be an angel playing with their heart, yeah. Hello, my fellow Whovians and subscribers, and welcome to my latest Doctor Who review, where today I conclude my Series 7 Part 1 reviews. Yes, the point in which the series was split, with Episode 5, which is The Angels Take Manhattan, written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Nick Hurren, starring Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. The Angels Take Manhattan. This is the final story to star Amy and Rory, played by Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill, respectively. It has been a long journey with these characters, and yeah, it'll be exciting to talk about the concluding story to their, well, story. So the plot of The Angels Take Manhattan is as follows. A simple trip to New York in 2012 goes horribly wrong when the Doctor's companion, Rory, is sent back to the 1930s by weeping angels. There he finds that his daughter, River, or Melody, is investigating the angels, as Manhattan has become their hunting grounds. The Doctor and Amy Pond must find Rory before it is too late, but they soon find that not every point in time can be changed, and here the Doctor must face the one thing he has been dreading, a final farewell to the Ponds. So with that description of the plot, you think, that sounds like a pretty decent episode. Oh, The Angels Take Manhattan, man. What a waste. What an absolute waste of a finale. Look, it's not a disaster. It's not the worst story I've ever seen, but this could have been so much more. So much more! As David Tennant would say. Look, I really like Amy and Rory as companions. I do. I think they've been great characters. They've not been the best companions of the show, but more because of the writing of the characters. But they've always acted really well in the show, and they've been very engaging. I mean, they have been in the show a long time up to this point. So, you know, there is a certain amount of emotion to this episode. There's definitely some sadness and some tears to be shed from their exit. But the story itself, this story is really confusing. The Angels Take Manhattan, it's just so hard to follow. I found it very difficult to keep up with this story. It's something to do with the angels, you know, killing Rory and then causing a paradox, and then Rory having to kill himself again and jumping off the roof with Amy to undo the paradox. And you know, what? And then there's this book that they're following, which was written by Melody, River, their daughter, because she was there the whole time, and she's written down everything they've done, and she sends it back to Amy, which is interesting. I mean, again, that sounds like an interesting idea, but because Stephen Moffat is the writer, it's a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey. You get the picture. Yeah, I couldn't really understand what the plot was for this story. There's also this guy in it called Grail, who he has the Weeping Angels in his basement for some reason. Like, why? It's never explained. Like, the opening of the episode seems completely inconsequential to the rest of the story. It was just to tease the angels coming back, I suppose. Then we have the Statue of Liberty as an angel. Yeah, kind of weird. Okay, whatever. So yeah, it's a really it's a big sort of hodgepodge mishmash of things going on in this story that I still can't explain to you, to be honest, because I was sitting there watching it and it was laying on screen, and also it's just a boring story. It's not as epic as it could have been. Like this could have been an amazing, emotionally powerful finale. And don't get me wrong, there is some emotion in the story towards the end, but as the story goes on, it kind of plods on and it gets really dull and talky. Like there's not really much going on in the story, or there's not much that I can understand anyway. I mean, the angels themselves are they're okay. I mean, I would say that they're probably better utilized than they were in the time of Angels and Flesh and Stone, but Blink was the only good use of the angels. I don't think the angels were that scary here. I mean, there was occasional moments. I mean, at least we don't see them move in this story. That's one thing I will appreciate. Although we do see baby angels as well for no reason. There's that moment when the guy, I think Grail says, he says to his henchman to take Rory down, and he says, "Give him to the babies." It's just ridiculous. And I mean, some of the moments you can clearly see that they're putting the effort in to make the angels look scary, and there are a couple of shots which are quite good. I do think the angels are a little bit scarier than they were in that previous two-part story, but it's just all of the overcomplicated narrative shit that Moffat usually throws into his stories. And River's song being in the story, I mean, if it wasn't Amy and Rory's last story, then River would have no place to be here whatsoever. But the fact is, I think she's woven into the story quite well. I mean, the fact that she wrote the book and she's having to send that off to Amy and Rory. The fact is, she is still Amy and Rory's daughter, so I guess she has that kind of connection to them. But I think they missed a trick. Brian Williams, Rory's dad, he could have been in the story. And the fact is, nobody references this in the show, but he is River's grandfather. So you think she would go and meet him at one point and tell him what happened to Rory and Amy. And actually, fun fact, there was a deleted scene where Brian Williams is given a letter and he finds out what happened to Amy and Rory and that they're stuck in New York. And that would have been such a lovely moment for him. It would have been emotional, but it would have been a lovely scene to at least give some closure to his character. Missed opportunity. So yeah, it's a real disappointment, unfortunately. It's a shame. I mean, the location in New York is quite cool, and some of the sets are decent, I suppose. And the thing that stands out the most about this story, why I can't say it's a total disaster, is the acting. The performances in this story are phenomenal. I think the emotional range of the performances are superb. Matt Smith is amazing in this story as the Doctor. Again, he really doesn't want to let them go. And the fact is, when he's reading the book, he peeks at the chapter titles, and then he sees the last one, which is Amelia's Last Farewell. And he knows, I think he knows he's going to lose them, but he's trying to dodge that as much as he can. But unfortunately, it's inevitable what happens. And I like the moments between the Doctor and River. They're not quite as flirtatious as they were in the past. I mean, there's still a little bit of the, "Honey, I'm home. Oh, wait till my husband gets home." There's still a little bit of that, but not as much as there was in Series 6, thank God. And there's a moment where he actually heals her arm, because she gets her hand stuck in the angel's hand. She gets her arm stuck in the angel's hand, sorry. And then he heals it with regeneration energy after she's free. And she's like, "That was a stupid waste of regeneration energy." And then River runs off and he's like, "River, no!" And then Amy says, "Just stick to the science stuff." I always forget that the Doctor is actually Amy and Rory's son-in-law. Oh, it's just weird. So there's a little bit of domestic moments there. There's a moment when Amy goes to comfort River, which I thought was actually quite nice. I thought, oh, okay, that's sweet. She is her mum, so we don't get to see many mother and daughter bonding moments between them. And at the beginning of the story, when Rory is zapped back in time, he sees his daughter and she says, "Hello, Dad." And River ended up being there because she had a vortex manipulator. I mean, how else would she have been there? I think Alex Kingston definitely gives one of her better performances. She's not quite as annoying in this story. And again, I don't blame her for her performances in Series 6. It's the writing that really let her down. But in this story, she's good. And I thought her performance in the last scene was really good. When she was saying goodbye to her mum, that was really sad and really well done. So, like I said, I do have some things that I like about the story. As for the finale of the story, I think it's handled okay. I mean, there are some missed opportunities, really, mainly with Rory. I mean, for most of the story, Arthur Darvill is acting on his own. He doesn't really, like, half the story he's trapped on his own trying to fight the angels. I mean, he does rejoin the others later, and he gives a great performance, very emotional performance. And we actually see a moment where Rory sees an older version of himself die in the bedroom, which is quite powerful. And yeah, the finale is quite emotional when him and Amy are on top of the roof, and he says, you know, in order to save us, I have to die again. They do acknowledge the fact that Rory is kept dying all the time. He says, what if you don't come back? And he's like, when don't I? So there is that kind of there's that kind of little in-joke there, which is nice. I love the fact that still, after all this time, Amy still chooses Rory. I do quite like their love story. I think it was handled rather well. I know to begin with it was kind of a fairy tale thing, but I didn't mind that, and I think that over the course of their time in the show, we've seen them really actually develop a love story quite well. The two of them are so deeply in love with each other, and you can see that, and I think the performances really convey that very well. And the fact that Amy chooses to die with him, that's true devotion, and that was beautiful. I thought that was actually quite beautifully done when she says together or not at all. And quite a shocking moment when they actually do throw themselves off the roof. You know, that was emotional, I must admit. I was like, oh my god, that was quite powerful. Although I'm kind of two-sided about the graveyard scene. On the one hand, I get why they did it the way they did, because Amy was sort of the main companion to begin with, and then Rory joined in. But Rory, I think, was kind of cheated out of an exit a bit, because he was just kind of, they came back, he saw his name on the grave, then zap, he was gone within seconds, and then the final scene was just with Amy and the Doctor and River. So I thought Arthur Darvill could have had more to do in that final scene as Rory, and I think they could have given him some more emotional scenes at the end. I mean, he does have some emotional stuff to deal with, but I just felt they missed an opportunity, you know. But that being said, the acting in that final graveyard scene is superb. Matt Smith and Karen Gillan and Alex Kingston are all brilliant. Karen Gillan, you know, acts her heart out, really, and she's on the verge of breaking down. She's like, well, you know, this is my best chance of seeing him. I'll be with him. I'll get zapped back in time. And the Doctor's like, well, no, I don't know. Come into the TARDIS, we can work it out. And then River's like, Doctor, shut up. Yes, Mum, it is your chance. Go to him. And you know, the fact that her daughter is encouraging her to do that is really beautiful. And then when she takes her hand and she kisses it, and that's really lovely. And she says, River, look after him, be a good girl. And then she turns around and she says, Raggedy Man, goodbye. That was a nice line to end on. And when then the Doctor breaks down, God, yeah, Matt Smith is going for it in this one. And the music in this story is brilliant. Murray Gold's score is wonderful. And I actually like that scene in the TARDIS afterwards with Matt Smith and River, and he's just kind of sitting there really sad, and then she says, I'll tell Amy to write an afterword for you. And then he goes back to the bridge where he was earlier, and he's like, the last page, and then he runs and he finds the page, and then he reads the afterword, which we hear in narration of Amy. And once again, missed opportunity. We could have had Rory's narration as well, and I feel like she should have said, this is the story of Amelia Pond and Rory Williams, and this is how it ends. I think it should have been more focused on both of them, you know, ending rather than just her. I felt like they kind of shortchanged Rory a little bit with that, but it was still very sweet when she said, like, oh, go and tell young Amelia that you know, she's going to go and fight pirates, she's going to go and save a whale, and all the stuff that they've been on. So there was a nice emotional tie-up, but again, it was nice, but it could have been better, you know. I just feel like this story missed so many opportunities. The thing as well, this story is kind of the end of an era because Matt Smith will be changing his costume in the next story, changing his TARDIS. The look of the show will change, like the opening titles. So it's really going to feel, in a way, like another series is starting when you get to part 2 of Series 7. But obviously we have the Snowmen next time. So the Angels take Manhattan. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, unfortunately. It's kind of all over the place story-wise, but I can't deny there are some emotionally powerful scenes and there's some really good acting in it. And the Angels are a little bit more terrifying than they were in the two-parter, but I can't really give it a pass, unfortunately. Yeah. So on a final rating, I'll give this story I'll give it a 4 out of 10. yeah, it breaks my heart to rate it that low. It really does. And on a final note, I'll just say Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill were really good in the show as Amy and Rory. Again, Amy and Rory, not my favourite companions of the show, but I liked their love story, and I liked the fact that Rory became more central as series 5 and 6 went on. And yeah, they didn't always have the best stories with Matt Smith, unfortunately, but I thought the three of them, like when they had scenes with Matt Smith, I thought they did really, really well. And they were good. I think they probably stayed a bit longer than they should have done in the show, and they could have had a better exit than what they did. But nevertheless, they were decent companions, and yeah, cheers to Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill. Thank you. So now we move on to The Snowmen, which is not the 6th episode of Series 6. It's the 2012 Christmas special. Some people consider it a part of Series 7 because it does kind of fit into the story arc, but I don't choose to see it that way. But then Series 7 Episode 6 for me is The Bells of St. John, which will be aired. The second half of Series 7 was aired in 2013 in the lead up to the 50th anniversary. But next time, The Snowmen, 2012 Christmas special. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Where we get introduced to Clara properly this time. And when we saw her in Asylum of the Daleks as Oswin, but this time Jenna Coleman makes her official debut, shall we say, as Clara. So yeah, look forward to that. But anyway, thank you very much all for watching this video. What do you think of The Angels Take Manhattan? Please comment down below, let me know, and stay tuned next time when I review The Snowmen. So until then, I'm Mr. Tiles11. Thank you for watching. See ya. Bye for now.